Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Woo! What a rush! Welcome back, folks, to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And before I go and begin this, I would like to go and make one quick announcement regarding my videos on my main channel, Electric Dragon 505. Because the thing is, not too long ago this week, I actually put up a little bit of a poll to ask people if they would be interested for me to go and review the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And I was surprised to find that it was pretty much a unanimous yes. Like, among all my polls, they were all around 95% of people saying that yes, they do want it. Well, let me tell you, you guys are definitely in luck. And probably more lucky than I would expect, actually, because just this morning, and even right now, I actually came back from downtown to go see an advanced screening of Sonic the Hedgehog, meaning that right after this episode, I'm gonna go straight to work working on that review, and you guys will officially go and have it on the release of the movie, well, on the movie's release. Pretty much, I will be releasing the review on Valentine's Day, December 14th, when the Sonic the Hedgehog movie will be coming out. So hopefully that will be something for you guys to be excited about and to go check. And I figured it really was a moment that it's a really good thing that I did ask and was curious if you guys would be interested because yeah, it looks like it definitely is happening, and I've managed to work things a lot better than I do expect. But anyways, that's just regarding what's happening in my main channel. Let's go and focus with what's happening in this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, because let me tell you, there are a lot of fascinating stories to go and discuss. So, with all that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you guys, are you all ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it. Are you all set for this? Come on. Let me hear it. Alright? People are ready. That's great to hear. So, now with all that said and done, let's go ahead and get this one started. And with the first story that I have for you, actually, with the first couple of stories, we are going to be looking into a couple of trailers that I have. And the first one is going to be a movie that we've heard a long time about, but it's been a while since we've had any announcements or any form of a first look. Well, considering that we did get one for this year's Super Bowl, now we have actually gotten a full trailer of it. So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer and our first ever look at Minions: The Rise of Gru. So let's go ahead and just want to know. Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and check this one out. Oops. That did not come out right. Hold on. Sorry about that. There we go. I also need to hear it in my headphones, so there we go. Much better.
Welcome to the Vicious Six.
Hello? Everybody here for the interview? Me too. What do you drive? I got a jet bike.
They're ready to see you, Mr. Gru.
Oh, good. Great. Here we go. Distinguished villains, my name is Gru. I feel like I'm talking too loud even though our proximity doesn't require this kind of volume.
You seriously think a puny little child can be a villain?
Yes, I am pretty despicable. You don't want to cross me?
Come back when you've done something evil to impress me.
He took the stone!
There's that little thief! Go, go, go!
Otto, take the stone back to the lair. I'll distract them.
I'll handle this!
This is the biggest day of my life. This kid just stole something from the worst villains in the world.
Time to strike!
Now I will be a super villain. Now all I need is Otto. Where is Otto?
Sí. Punya poso para ti la pata.
Are you pulling on my legs right now? Otto, where's the stone?
Big storia. Porca le tondruf, quando le pari mene. Il maco, vai berga. La papitoirelle. Oh no, la partida, la bola. Basta, l'amico, non le posso stoppare. Mahiu, la ghetta. Papagato, parenti. E là, la punella. Oh là là, le bello bellissimo. La chiluto. Topissimo, no?
Did you just trade my future for a pet rock?
See?
Oh, I didn't mean to scare you. Now, where's Gru?
And so that was the trailer for Minions: The Rise of Gru. Now, by the way, I just want to go and here put up the title. Sorry, didn't mean to let it play. There we go. Just put it back here. All right, there we go. Much better, much better. All right, so first of all, before I continue into my thoughts on this trailer in particular, I need to go and have a little moment to be honest with you guys, because if you guys watch my videos, if you guys know me, I'm probably somewhere, well, maybe it does feel like in the minority, or I don't know, because like people's feelings about the Minions and the Despicable Me franchise, it's been all over the place, so honestly, you never know. But for me, I am actually genuinely a fan of the Despicable Me films. I actually really do enjoy them, and I really do think that they are good quality animated features. They do supply great comedy, great heart as well, with some great family values into them. And also a lot of good creativity that went into it. Like these are well animated films. Like you got to give credit to the people at Illumination that at the very least they do make the movies visually pleasing with a lot of creative aspects, especially regarding Gru's gadgets and all the little silly shenanigans that the Minions would get into. And even though that even I would say that I can see that the franchise is going a bit in a downward slope, and even the third movie is not as impressive as the other ones, I still find them to be enjoyable. I still find them to be a lot of fun, and you know, I do find them to be one of the better mainstream animated comedies that we've had in recent years. But with that said, though, watching Minions: The Rise of Gru, watching this trailer, with my first impressions of it, honestly, yeah, even I gotta say that I don't know, I think, you know, I think we're good with our Minion fix. I think, like, I'm starting to have a little bit enough, because with the usual main elements of the Despicable Me franchise, or what we are getting with Minions, or in here in general, it's just that, I don't know, I'm starting to feel a little bit bored, and now I feel like the stuff that they are introducing, it's, you know, it's starting to be overdone. Like, with the elements of the supervillains, with Gru, and with some of the little Minion shenanigans, it's just, you know, now, like, I wouldn't say this is gonna I'm not saying that this is gonna tell me that this will be a horrible movie. It's just, for me, I just feel, And especially, there are a lot of times when it just feels Like, one thing I will say so far from this trailer is that, I don't know, for me, Gru so far, like with this young Gru, he's more annoying than he actually is funny. Like, even some of the jokes that, you know, they would try to introduce himself as kind of like this awkward kid that wants to be an up-and-coming supervillain. Like, at the beginning when he introduces himself to the Vicious Six. Like, this part right over here.
Villains, my name is Gru. I feel like I'm talking too loud even though our proximity doesn't require this kind of volume.
It's like, I guess they're trying to make a joke out of it, but it just doesn't fly well. And especially I feel like there is that extra layer of annoyance, the fact that they're trying to make this a kid Gru, where it is obvious that they still have Steve Carell playing as Gru, but they gotta lift up the pitch to make him a kid and still keep his weird Russian-like accent. It just doesn't gel well with me, or I just don't feel like this is gonna be something that it would be questionable if I would stand listening to about an hour and a half of just that. And I don't know, at least for me, my first introduction to this Gru, it's just, I don't know, it's just not working well with me. But then I will say there is actually something that I was not expecting from this trailer that I do find surprisingly a lot of fun. And while this is an element that is often featured in the Despicable Me films, I feel like with this one, they are kind of pushing it to the next level. And surprisingly enough, it's actually the antagonists, per se. I can't really say villains because, like, everybody in this film are pretty much villains. But I would say the Vicious Six is probably the most pleasant surprise that did come out of this trailer. And that is mainly because when you do look at the Vicious Six, like, just a little example, like you see, so far there's only 5 of them, but I guess they're looking for a 6th member to make it a Vicious Six. But I do love the way that they are making they're making each villain very unique, where you kind of have this French guy with a giant lobster claw. Like, you got this Mad Max style rollerblader. You got like this muscle-bound Iron Fist guy, like literally his fists are iron. And you got this evil nun, which is all led by this 70s style. Well, hold on, where is she? Actually, this would be yeah, this is a better representation of all the villains together. But basically, the leader is mainly to emphasize the setting of the whole feature, which is this 70s disco girl. Considering that we're still in the prequel era of the Despicable Me franchise, and this is like, and of course, like, in a way, the best way to describe it is that this is the Majora's Mask of the Despicable Me films, where this is the sequel to the prequel of everything. And looking into this, with the villains, they actually do bring up a lot of great creativity, and probably the best highlight that did come from this trailer is the chase scene. Like, after Gru stole the stone, you see all the villains going out and trying to chase Gru to make sure that he doesn't get away with the stone. And it's actually a lot of fun because you do see a lot of the potential and a lot of the abilities of what these villains can actually do. It's actually pretty cool. Like, you see the rollerblader, you see the guy using the Iron Fist, and even with the leader, like the disco leader, like, she would use her chains in order to capture Gru's bicycle. And from there, I could definitely tell that, at least in terms of the animation, that's going to be possibly the strongest point of the feature, is that you could definitely see how the animators will try to amp up their creativity in order to show off their new villains, and maybe even more that will come out on the side. But I will say, One thing that I was looking forward to when I first heard about Minions: The Rise of Gru and what they wanted to do with it, at first I was actually pretty impressed with the idea. Like, I thought it was actually a pretty clever idea in a sense, where this is going to be the definitive prequel of the first Despicable Me movie, where in a way we're pretty much going back to the roots of the franchise before the family values really was a main element of the Despicable Me franchise, where in here we are going back to the supervillain concept, where we are going back to just that, and we are directly seeing how Gru is at his rise of power and how he started collaborating with the Minions. Because you may remember right at the end of the first Minions movie, where, like, after the Minions saved London and they got back the crown ended up getting stolen by little Gru, which is the first time we do see him and the first time the Minions actually do meet Gru, and then they declared him as their new boss. So from there, I do like the concept of it, but my problem so far with this trailer is that the execution is not all that promising, and as I've said before, a lot of the humor, it really is miss. The most that I could say that the humor is actually pretty good, where, you know, I did have some little chuckles here and there, like when I first saw this trailer in general, was right at the end when we got Otto telling his story about how he went into several mishaps and then suddenly he ended up deciding to trade the stone that apparently what Gru needs for his future for just a pet rock. That, I have to admit, there are some funny moments like that had a little bit of potential. I wouldn't say it's the funniest thing that came out of the franchise. There have been way better jokes that came out of the Despicable Me films, but you know, compared to what we've gotten so far throughout this trailer, like, that is the one funny thing that did come out of it. The rest of the jokes, unfortunately, they're all duds. So, overall, what I feel like from this trailer is that it's not really giving me a good first impression of what this movie could potentially be. It's not telling me that it's going to be the worst movie out there. It's not even going to be the worst Illumination film, but I do have a feeling that this is going to be the one that will be like the straw that will break the Despicable Me camel's back overall. This is going to be the one where, like, I can imagine that people are going to say, okay, I think we've had enough of Minions and we've had enough of Despicable Me. Like, technically, I do get it that they want to release this, considering that this will be released around the same time as the franchise's 10th anniversary. Yes, believe it or not, coming soon, Despicable Me this summer is going to be 10 years old, which is crazy to think, but yes, that is going to be the case, and I do understand that, and honestly, I do hope that it will be better than what we are presented so far with this trailer. I do hope that maybe they will dive more into the concept. Maybe there is a lot more that they could reveal. Maybe things can actually work out. And there are some things that do actually work in this trailer. Like, so far, we do have a good first impression of the villains, and it is promising us that we will have some pretty cool and creative action scenes. But other than that, though, with this one, it's just, you know, even as a Despicable Me fan myself, you know, I'm not really as hooked on this as much as I would with the other films. So it's just, I don't know. I'm gonna try to remain optimistic and hope for the better, but so far with what we got with this, it's not all that great. I'm not all that impressed, to be honest. But we'll see. Hopefully we will be wrong on this. Hopefully there will be some, you know, hopefully one, like, maybe the second trailer will come out and it will be much better than what we have here, and we'll reveal more about the movie. Keep in mind, this is all our first impression, so I could be wrong. And it did state, so far, I do believe we do have a release date of somewhere in July. It only says summer so far, but hopefully, I'm just gonna hope for the best that things will go up from here for this movie. So with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to go and pass on the mic to you, where I would like to ask you guys, what do you all think of the Rise of Gru trailer? Did you guys like this trailer more than I did? Did you guys really enjoy it? Did you think it was hilarious? Or are you not really into this? Or are you not really that interested in watching this trailer? Are you not interested in watching this movie? Let me know what you think in the chat wall. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Okay, I'll admit that it has its funny moments. The animation is looking pretty good as always, but the story and some of the comedy here isn't really appealing to me. And being an origin story is kind of boring. Really shows that keeping on a franchise this long can cause some franchise trouble, but let's hope they don't have this franchise become the next Ice Age. Well, I mean, they are getting close to it. I mean, we are at, like, technically, if we do count the Minion movies as Despicable Me films, we actually are at movie number 5. And I mean, like, the idea of an origin story, you know, it is much better than doing, like, a direct sequel, like doing a Despicable Me 4. Like, I could see the great potential that there is with making an origin story to see, literally, the Rise of Gru. Like, that concept I do like. It's just the execution that I am a little bit worried about. And considering that we are at movie number 5, maybe morale is a little bit low at Illumination, that they don't really want to do another freaking Despicable Me film. So, I don't know. There are chances that it could fall, but then again, once again, I am hoping for the best for this, and that maybe things will pick up after what we have seen with this trailer. Okay, let's see what else we got now. I'm excited for this Despicable Me prequel because we will get to see how Gru got along with his new Minion buddies with some funny moments here and there. Can't wait. Also, what's with the young version of characters nowadays? Oh man, I would like to talk about that, but I am saving that for much later, trust me. There is a story that is much more appropriate to talk about than in here. Trust me, we will get to that. And actually, before I do, I just would like to clarify, in this case here with the Rise of Gru, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily count this in that whole trope of, like, younger characters and stuff like that, because as I said before, the young version of Gru we have seen at the end of the first Minions movie, so the young Gru already appeared long before this whole thing became a trend, so I thought I would clarify on that. Let's see. I think the trailer is just meh. I wonder if this movie will make a ton of money, just like the first one and Despicable Me. The franchise is money-making for Universal. Well, I don't know, honestly. And truthfully, I have to say I don't know. And I know it sounds crazy because usually with the Despicable Me films, they make a stupid amount of money, especially with both the first Minions and Despicable Me 3, they have surpassed $1 billion at the box office. But considering the movie environment right now, the fact that we are seeing a lot more big blockbuster franchise films and that they would surprisingly end up becoming a flop. Like, a recent example actually is Birds of Prey, where despite the positive reviews from critics, so far it doesn't look like it's going to be making much money at the box office, surprisingly enough. That with Birds of Prey, they are making much less money than what was predicted by box office analysts and Warner Brothers as well. And considering that the last Illumination film, The Secret Life of Pets 2, while that one is not a flop, it was profitable for Universal. The thing with that one is that it made much less than expected. In fact, it was the first time since Hop that Illumination did not surpass $200 million domestically at the box office. So I wouldn't expect Minions: The Rise of Gru to be a flop per se, but I wouldn't be surprised if this film in particular would not make as much money as the previous Despicable Me films. At least that is my prediction. Okay, let's see what we got here. I really like this trailer. The animation is impressive, the action is a lot of fun, and Otto's backstory is pretty hilarious. True, Steve Carell as little Gru is a little annoying, but I hope I get used to it throughout the whole movie, and this trailer is way better than the Super Bowl Mulan trailer. Well, I'm from Canada, and believe it or not, we still don't have all the trailers of the Super Bowl, so... Or maybe I did get the Mulan one, I just completely forgot about it and it slipped my mind, so I don't know. Alright, let's see what we got. I like this trailer. The humor is pretty solid, especially Otto. Yes, it won't be perfect, but I think this will be harmless. Also, it has confirmed that Russell Brand will return as the professor, and the story is the six fired their sixth member, with them hiring a sixth member. I think the movie will be fun. Yeah, that is actually one thing that I was really surprised about, and that is a name that I thought I would never hear again, because it did feel like Russell Brand kind of disappeared from the mainstream for a long time. Like, there was a moment when he had a bit of his rise of fame, where he was like among the A-list celebrities during the beginning of the 2010s, but then there was suddenly a moment where it's like, he suddenly disappeared, like he was gone. And even for the third Despicable Me film, he did not return. Like, the third movie had to find an excuse for the professor to not be involved with the movie, and I think they kind of, like, froze him off in the style of like, Han Solo. So I'm surprised that we're seeing Russell Brand return to the Despicable Me franchise, so honestly, that is kind of a surprise little comeback there. Let's see now. I feel mixed as much as you are. Like, I love the Despicable Me films, but it felt most likely something I prefer watching at home than in theaters. It still looks awesome, but not catching on as much as the others. Besides, to me, in its competition with another yellow character with square pants, I prefer watching that over this. I hope for the best for this movie. It might be fun. Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, though, this is all just first impressions, and maybe this trailer did not necessarily leave a good one. I know there are some that were impressed, that they did enjoy this, but, honestly, we'll just see how it goes, and hope for the best for this movie. Hopefully this won't be the one that will kill off the Despicable Me franchise to the point of even turning off some of the longtime fans like me. So I'll try my best to keep myself optimistic for this franchise, and we'll see how it goes with the Rise of Gru. Alright, so now with this trailer done, it is now time that we're going to be jumping into another trailer, but this time it's going to be a TV show, actually. Well, more of a Netflix show. This is actually going to be the first time that we will see this kind of collaboration with Netflix and Nickelodeon. Sure, they have done plenty of those before, especially with Invader Zim and with Rocco and stuff like that, but not for something that is original. So with that said, let us go and check out the trailer for Nickelodeon's first animated series made for Netflix, Glitch Text. So let me go and set myself up here, and let's check out this trailer right now.
Who knows what really happens when a video game starts to glitch?
I think all these things are from a video game.
What's a glitch?
Game code, acting out a pattern. Basically, video game monsters!
Glitch contained.
Kids, you're gonna be Glitch Text, our super secret task force, the Monster Hunters.
Let's do it!
Locate glitches in your assigned area.
We probably should have stayed in the van.
Debug them. Reset any damage.
Oh, nerds.
And mind wipe whatever stooges witnessed the disturbance.
That was amazing!
Need to breathe.
Let's go!
Glitch contained.
So yes, that was Glitch Tech. And honestly, after what we've just witnessed, I can see where they are going with this. I can see the kind of direction that they do actually want to take with this show in particular. And just need to set up a few things just to... Yeah, there we go. Okay. Anyway, so back onto Glitch Tech. The funny thing with this show is that there is one series in particular that it really does remind me a lot of. And maybe there are several of them, but there's one in particular that I feel like there is a massive connection to this, where maybe it wants to try to be like that. And, ooh, excuse me. But what I am referring to is, am I the only one that feels like Glitch Tech feels like Digimon in a sense? Because the whole main selling point of Glitch Tech is going to be the monsters, where you do have a group of heroes that are going to be working together in order to fight off these monsters and stuff like that. But the big highlight is to go and jump from monster to monster for each episode. And with the whole video game and digital motif, it really does bring out that feeling of Digimon, or in some cases more of these or I guess the best way to put it is that this is one of those monster collection series where it's somewhere in the veins of like Digimon and Pokemon as well, where the monsters and the variety of monsters are going to be a massive selling point. And there have been plenty of other shows, like just popping out of my head, I'm sure you guys can list off like so many different TV shows that are like monster collectors and stuff like that. But another one that I just realized, there is also the Lilo and Stitch series. That could technically count as a monster collection series, considering that the main selling point of that is Lilo and Stitch encountering with a wide variety of the different experiments. Like, since Stitch is 626, there are plenty of other experiments out there for Stitch to go and encounter that are a little similar to him. So with Glitch Tech, you do see a variety of you do see a variety of creatures. Like, you got a plant monster that came out of an arcade. Like, you got this Cthulhu type creature that's like an octopus for a head with wings. Then, like, there was at one point the girl was where was it? Yeah, like right over here, where like the girl was fighting off this kung fu rooster master in a way. So like, there's like, of course the creativity is going to be from the wide variety of creatures that they would encounter. Yes, they will try to create some personalities with their human characters as well. But the main aspect, like, you're going to be watching this because of all the different monsters. I don't know, like, in terms of the human characters, they're not necessarily selling on me that much. Like, they're not necessarily as convincing or engaging to feel like, yeah, I want to be joining this team, because it does feel like you are joined with the typical group of kids that would go on an adventure like that. It's just, like, honestly, there's nothing different than I would find than any of the other shows. Oh, another Monster Collector series that I just thought of. Technically, I don't know if this one would count, but this would be like another Ben 10 or something like that. And even someone just pointed out where this does feel similarities, this would share similarities to something like Sword Art Online. And yeah, someone even mentioned this could be a little bit like Men in Black as well, which is true. I mean, like, it's unavoidable to think about Men in Black, especially when part of their job is to go and wipe off people's memories whenever they would go and witness something like this actually happen. But I don't know. It's just from there, the human elements, it does seem typical. Like, there is a part of it where it's not necessarily that original. Like, a lot of this show, it doesn't feel like it's an original series. A lot of, like, since I am doing so many of these comparisons, like with Digimon, with Pokemon, with Ben 10, with Lilo and Stitch and all that kind of stuff, it does feel like a corporately made series more so than it does feel like a series that one passionate artist wanted to go and make. So, like, I feel like this is more Netflix and Nickelodeon's influence more so than a solid voice. I could be wrong on that, and maybe this is from the mind of one person who wanted to go and make their interpretation of, like, Digimon or Pokemon that has more of a video game theme. And, well, let's be honest, with, like, the video game theme, that also is something that does feel like more of a corporate idea in order to appeal to kids, because that's more the mindset, like, well, kids like video games, why don't we make it a video game theme? Then at that point, the artist can do whatever they want, you know? We don't have to stick with just one specific theme, you know? Like, video game theme feels very vague for them to do whatever they want with the wide variety of monsters. Now, I know I did point out that it could be a good thing, and that is a major selling point, but it is kind of a double-edged sword where if not handled well, then you could tell how corporately artificial that this series might be. But I will say that there is one little thing that I am a bit worried about with this series, and honestly, it has to be the girl, the one that has the Twilight Sparkle style hair with the the purple and pink hair girl. I feel like this is gonna be one of those characters that she might fall victim to the not safe for work artist, because the way they designed her, I don't know if you could see it if you're watching this, yeah, the way they designed her, they made her pretty thick. And with a thick girl like that, oh, I'm sure there are going to be some prominent artists out there that might find a lot of appeal with this girl, and she'll go towards a target audience that might be a little older than what Glitch Tech is going for. So all I'm saying is that if Glitch Tech does get pretty popular, don't be surprised if this girl might be a popular subject for not safe for work artists. So I'm just putting out that sign of beware, because I can see the thickness and I could see the potential dangers that could come with designing thick girl characters. So I thought I would just point that out. But yeah, overall, like, I could see the appeal of it, but then again, there's just something that does feel a little bit corporately artificial coming from this series. Like, I could see where it wants to be like this Digimon-style adventure where the heroes will have to go and face monster to monster, seeing all the different creative types of monsters and try to go after them in this digital video game style. But then again, it does feel a bit corporately manufactured more so than it is an artist's voice that they want to go and create something unique. Like, honestly, from there, I think the best way to put it is that I don't feel like there's much of a soul into this. I don't feel like there's a soul that this is from an artist. This is from their passion. This is their one vision that they want to bring to life. Like, a good example, like, if you watch something that came out recently, like, what's the name of the show again? The Owl House? The new Disney series, I think it's called The Owl House, right? Yeah, and like with that one, you could definitely watch that and feel like that is something that definitely has a soul. That is something that is truly one artist's interpretation. This is not like Disney intervening and trying to create a series. This is from the vision of an artist. Whereas this one, this feels more like maybe this is the vision of a committee more so than a vision of an artist. I could be wrong, just to keep that out, just to point that out. And yes, apparently I was right. It is the Owl House, and people do know what I mean. But in this case here, I don't know. I just like seeing this. I don't know if this really is going to be something that will stick easily on Netflix, or it will stick with audiences, but I could be wrong, of course. Maybe this will come out as a great series, but we will wait and see. And we won't have to wait too long, though, because apparently the series will be coming out on Netflix pretty soon, in a couple of weeks, on February 21st. So if you guys are interested in checking out Glitch Tech, then keep an eye out for that. So, with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask, what do you all think of this trailer of Glitch Tech? Is this a series that you would be interested in? Would you guys want to go and check it out? Or do you feel like maybe you want to give this a pass? Maybe this is not a series that you would be interested in. Let me know what you all think. All right, I just need my drink. All right. Oh, and yeah, this comment right over here does bring up another example of Monster Collector series. This actually looks really cool. The concept is a little similar to stuff like Ghostbusters, but the animation is fantastic, the characters have some good chemistry, and the action is fantastic. I'll definitely check it out, but if I had to say something regarding the Nickelodeon Netflix merger, then it'd be make a spin-off starring Spencer from iCarly or no dice. Oh, I'm sure. Now, that, I can guarantee you, that's going to be something that would be a major seller. That would definitely be a big one. I'm sure that would be something that Nickelodeon could consider to really cash in on the nostalgia. And I mean, like, they are in the mood on cashing in for nostalgia. They did the Hey Arnold movie. Last year, they did stuff with Rocco and Invader Zim. I wouldn't be surprised if they would. And also, they are saying that they want to bring back all that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they want to do something with Spencer from iCarly, or make some kind of spin-off with Drake and Josh. Like, not necessarily have Drake and Josh, but I mean, like, you know, make a spin-off based on that. But with that said, yeah, you do bring up some good points that it is true. One thing that I did forget to mention is that, you know, the animation does look pretty cool. Like, there are some pretty interesting designs, which will be very beneficial for the monsters. And yeah, this will be action-oriented, and if those things are handled very well, then they will carry a good chunk of the series. So I'm sure that's going to be a massive help. So if done well, then I could definitely see this perform very successfully, but we will see with how that will go. All right, let's see. This might be one of the greatest action cartoons ever made if they play all their cards correctly. The animation looks awesome, I like the premise, and the characters seem likable. Maybe there are similarities to Digimon and Lilo and Stitch, the series, but I think they'll be kind of suitable. Well, I am actually pretty surprised that the characters are actually gelling well with the audience so far, because at least for me, I don't know, like as I stated before, the characters do seem a bit typical for the kind of show that there is here. So I don't know, and especially in this case, if it is possible, like, if it is really true that people are already liking the characters, then maybe my warning of the thick girl could actually turn out to be true. Oh dear God. Anyways, let's see now. I'm a bit optimistic. The monsters are pretty creative, and I believe this is Nickelodeon's first original series not based on anything in a long time that is not based on any of their existing properties like The Loud House and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. However, it does seem to take elements from other shows, so we'll see. You know, that does, you do bring up, a very, very good point, actually. You do bring up a good point that it's been a long time since Nickelodeon has an original series. Maybe the last time that they did so was probably The Loud House? I don't know, I could be wrong on that, but it's true that it's the last time that they had a legitimate original series. So at least they are doing something creative and something different. And now with the collaboration of Netflix, maybe it could actually encourage them to do more original shows that if they're not well suited, or if they don't have necessarily what it takes to perform on television on the Nickelodeon channel, then maybe they'll just move it onto Netflix and see how that goes. So maybe this Netflix collaboration will open the door for them to be a little bit more experimental, per se. Let's see. I think you've been on DeviantArt for too long, AniMat. Sure, she is cute, but not all artists are that messed up. Well, okay. Number one, I'm not saying that, I am absolutely not saying that all not safe for work artists are messed up. I'm not saying that at all. I'm sure that, like, I know that there are plenty out there, you know, they're cool, they're chill and stuff like that, and they would make these, you know, not safe for work fan art per se. And not all you know, and not like, and not all not safe for work fan art, like, it's not necessarily, like, disgusting in a sense, or stuff like that. Like, I know there are people who have their different tastes on, or their different opinions on, like, pornography and stuff like that, but I'm still saying that it will happen. Maybe, like, yeah, of course, like, there's no denying that there will be definitely a lot of, like, kid-friendly fan art, per se, of, like, characters in glitch tech and stuff like that, but as we all know, Rule 34 is a thing, and with Rule 34, if it exists, there is a porn of it. I should know. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I think even I've fallen onto Rule 34, actually. Like, not a lot, of course, but I think it might have happened before. But anyways, let's get back into some of the comments here. Let's see. I'm not sure. This show is giving me Wreck-It Ralph, Generation Rex, Da Boom Crew, and Captain N vibes. And with the last two shows I've mentioned, that is not a great sign. I don't know if this is just me, but I'm getting a little tired of seeing arcade games in fiction, even though I myself am a video game guy. I mean, for once, can't we have something that parodies console games? Heck, maybe something that parodies the rivalry between Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo systems? Just a suggestion. Well, I mean, you gotta keep in mind that this is still a kids show per se, and I mean, going into something like the console wars, like the battle of like Nintendo versus Sega or Sony versus Microsoft and stuff like that, maybe like that would be a bit too sophisticated for kids, let's just say. But from there, like, yeah, maybe it is a little bit of a trope to use arcades as video games and stuff like that, but they do exist. People still go to arcades, so it's not like they're gone forever, but overused maybe, but I mean, like, you know, it's still a good concept. Let's see now, what else do we got? I'll read one more and then we're gonna jump on to our next story. Let's see. I'm curious about the future of Nickelodeon and Netflix since Viacom CBS recently announced that they would be pushing more Viacom's properties for CBS All Access after Viacom and CBS merge. But if Netflix wants to win the streaming wars, get them the streaming rights of Avatar and Korra and you'll win in my book. Also, horny artists, I'm confident that she's underage, so don't draw anything that would put you on a watch list. Like that's ever gonna stop them. But yeah, I did actually hear the news, and it is true that Viacom is considering that they want to push more into their own streaming service. Like they have touched a bit around, like, you know, just being content creators for other streaming services, especially for Netflix, but they do consider that they want to try to push for their own, like, and to, you know, put their own horse in the race, especially when they already got CBS All Access. But I'm just gonna say right now, if they are, I highly doubt CBS All Access is gonna be a winner. I highly doubt that it's gonna be that much of a competitor that it would actually go up against something like Disney Plus or Netflix. So I wouldn't really imagine them being that much of a top competitor. Besides, also, one thing you have mentioned about like Netflix owning the streaming rights, I think they already got that, considering that Netflix wants to do that live action Avatar series. So I think when that show is going to be coming out, they will also release the animated series as well. Or at least that is the smart thing to do, because if not, then it would be a little bit ridiculous. Alright, so for our next story, now this is just going to be a short and quick story, but this is one that is worth mentioning, and I do find this to be a little bit charming, and I think that's going to be the main theme of our next story. This is going to be a cute little charming story, and in a way, we are still staying a bit onto the Netflix theme, especially when we are going to be talking about Shaun the Sheep. And as you guys probably know, as I am recording this, the upcoming movie Farmageddon is actually just around the corner in North America, where that's going to be coming out on Valentine's Day on Netflix, since the UK already got Farmageddon back in October, or already somewhere in 2019, somewhere like either late summer or during the fall and stuff like that. But the point is, we know that coming soon, at least in North America, or in maybe even the rest of the world, Netflix will be releasing that. But it looks like there is going to be another Shaun the Sheep project that's going to be coming out, which will be a Christmas special. Yes, this week, Aardman Animations has officially announced that they are going to be working on a Christmas special of Shaun the Sheep. But we are not going to be getting that immediately. In fact, they have announced that extremely early, considering that they are planning to release this in 2021. So not this Christmas, but the next Christmas. And apparently this special will be released in the UK on BBC One, while Netflix is going to be distributing it for the North American distribution rights, along with Latin America, Spain, CIS, and Greece. So far, they don't have an official title, but for now, they're just calling it A Winter's Tale for Shaun the Sheep. And reading from my source here on Deadline, it states, there we go. Here, I'm just going to read this whole just this little section, why not? It says, A Winter's Tale from Shaun the Sheep will follow Shaun as his seasonal excitement turns sour when a farmhouse raid to get bigger stocking from for the flock leads to baby lamb Timmy going missing. We also got a little quote here from Sue Deeks, which is the BBC's head of program acquisition, as it states here. Aardman lovingly produced stories with warmth, personality, and humor, so we are truly delighted that following the huge success of The Farmer's Llamas, the next project in our continuing relationship is another wonderful Shaun the Sheep special. And I just want to say, I feel like it's about time that Aardman actually dedicates something truly for a Christmas special, because for like if you do live in the UK, then you know that Aardman is often a pretty popular subject that would come up during that time. Now, they may not necessarily release Christmas specials, and yeah, maybe they have done some little things for Christmas, like maybe some little stingers with Wallace and Gromit, or maybe with some of the other characters and stuff like that, but never really something, never a project, rather it be like a TV special or a movie or anything like that, that is actually dedicated to Christmas. Because the thing is, with the history of Aardman shows like Wallace and Gromit or Shaun the Sheep and stuff like that, usually with those specials, they would actually come out during Christmas time. So far, I believe all the Wallace and Gromit specials, like A Close Shave or A Grand Day Out or The Wrong Trousers or A Matter of Loaf and Death, those ones have actually been released during the Christmas time. But they're not actually Christmas themed though. But it looks like with Shaun the Sheep, considering with that one, they are more open to do whatever they want, since they did make that a legitimate TV show, and they're kind of like, right now, Shaun the Sheep is kind of like their new big franchise that they really are expanding, especially the fact that not only do they have the series, but they also have 2 movies right now. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to see them to actually go and do a Christmas special. And I can already say, even though this is not going to be coming out in a long time, in fact, they're not going to start production until in the, like, much later this year. They say late 2020 that they're going to go and start production on the Shaun the Sheep Christmas special, but I can already tell that this is going to be something that will be very, very charming, especially if the central characters are going to be not just Shaun, but also Little Timmy. And speaking of Little Timmy here, that is also another element that really does expand on the Shaun the Sheep franchise, because there's not just one series, but technically there is 2 of them, considering that Timmy actually does have his own TV show. It's a preschool series, but still, it is kind of funny to mention, considering that the Timmy series is actually a spin-off of a spin-off, considering that Shaun came out of what was it again? He came out of A Close Shave. Like, so it's technically it is a Wallace and Gromit character, but now we got a spin-off of a spin-off. But going into this, so far from what, I really did like the Shaun the Sheep movie. I haven't seen the show yet, but from what I saw in the film, it definitely is charming, especially the fact that it's one of those very rare movies that does take advantage with simplicity. That they would go and take Shaun the Sheep, or they would take a simple concept and just a simple idea. I mean, technically, it's like to go and retrieve their farmer from the big city. Like, that's all the premise really is. But they managed to pull that off very, very well with some charming animation, no dialogue whatsoever, and some great humor along the side. I mean, like, this is, like, I don't know if this really is that much of a big statement, but it is also an animated feature that did get nominated for an Oscar. So it must count for something. So I could definitely imagine that, considering that Aardman does know very well with playing with humor, with heart, and especially that they've done a great job so far with Shaun the Sheep, I could definitely see this becoming a great Christmas special. Like, this is going to be something that the UK people are going to keep an eye on for BBC One, and that the rest of the world, or like in the Americas and stuff like that, we'll keep an eye out on Netflix. I definitely do feel optimistic for this one. This is going to be great. This is going to be heartwarming. You know, maybe this could be something that, even though this is just going to be a TV special, but maybe this could be in the ranks of Klaus, where it will definitely boost up the Christmas spirit with some great animation, or in this case, some great stop-motion animation. Again, this is not going to be coming out in a long time. It will be released in 2021, but I do feel like this is going to be something that is worth mentioning in order to hype up what's going to be to come with Aardman's projects. So, with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall right now, and I want to ask you guys, what do you all think of the idea of a Shaun the Sheep Christmas special? Is this something you guys would want to watch? Would you be interested in it? Are you already excited for it? Let me know what you all think. Okay, let's see now. Okay, I'll go with this one. Crumbs! I should have never left England. I miss this the same way I miss Wallace and Gromit, A Matter of Loaf and Death, on its release date, which is Christmas 2008. Had to wait for months for the DVD. Don't know if this will come to Netflix in my country. By the way, judging by the title, do you think this special is gonna reference William Shakespeare's A Winter's Tale? Well, honestly, we can't really say anything for now. We can't really confirm on things, and we can't really determine about the title because, as it says here, this is just a working title, so we can't really confirm if this is really the direction that they're going to go with. So I don't think we can necessarily comment on what they're doing with the title. So I'm just saving it until like things are official right now. Let's see now. Shaun the Sheep is always charming to watch. Whether it's the movies, the show, or anything, simplicity might be a dull concept, but in the right hands it can work. And I figure Aardman would start production in late 2020. And also, I feel like Aardman might have a great blooming relationship with Netflix, since the company is always flipping with distribution companies, and stop motion can have a good home. Oh, absolutely. I think the big test is going to be next week, when we are going to have Farmageddon come out, but I am curious myself to know what they are going to do with it, and to see how their relationship is going to go. But so far with Netflix, usually things work out for the best, so maybe things can really work out with Aardman, and they'll have one company that they could legitimately stay. Like, since things didn't necessarily work out with either like Lionsgate or Sony Pictures Animation and stuff like that, or maybe, or like also like going way back with DreamWorks Animation, maybe things can finally work out that they can actually settle with Netflix in terms of their international distribution. Let's see now. What else do we got here? Oh, right. Alright, is it weird to be in the Christmas spirit when it ain't even past Valentine's Day? But seriously, I love the series and both the movies, so this should really be something intriguing. But reading the Aardman Christmas stuff, you made one glaring exception. Does the name Arthur ring a bell? Okay, that's kind of in an awkward position right now, because the thing with Arthur Christmas, it's like, it's kind of a tough category that you don't know where to specifically put it, because like, it's not really Aardman, it's a collaboration between Aardman and Sony Pictures Animation. I mean, technically, like, with the Pirates, for example, that one, you know, that's a full-on Aardman movie. Sony was just distributing it. That's the proper way to pronounce it. But with Arthur Christmas, that is a legitimate collab where you got the Aardman team doing one thing and the Sony Animation team doing another. I mean, yes, that could technically count as an Aardman Christmas project, but that's not like a full 100% Aardman Christmas project. So I just want to go and make that clarification right there. But I do get what you mean by bringing that up. Let's see here. I'm definitely going to be watching this next Christmas. I'll keep up to date with this film, even though Netflix is going to show this film. I'm definitely excited for this. That's definitely nice. I'll go and read one more comment before we're going to jump on to the next one. It sounds great. To say I love Shaun the Sheep, I like personally to say maybe one of the great voiceless series since it's only just sound. To say this is not the only time Shaun did a holiday special. In fact, he did a short episode where he plans to do something special to the Lonely Farmer. You should watch. It's short but very sweet. For this, I'm optimistic for. I can't wait. It seems kind of exciting. Okay, yeah, okay, that is true that I'm sure there probably were a few episodes in the show where they did do something that's legitimately about Christmas, but with this one, this is like a full-on Christmas special, so we got about a half an hour or at least like 22 minutes of like some Christmas time with Shaun the Sheep. All right, so now moving on to our next story. What I have here is a bonus miscellaneous. So we're going to step away from some of the animations because this is probably one of the biggest movie news of this week. And already this is something that I am really hyped up about. Much more than any of the stuff that we have talked about. I'm more hyped up for this than I am so far with Minions, with Glitch, and even Shaun the Sheep. Because this is going to be pretty exciting so far. And what I'm talking, of course, is going to be the Hamilton movie. Yes, Hamilton is coming to the big screen, but possibly in the perfect way possible. Now, to go into details, what happened is that Disney has officially announced that they have spent $75 million in order to get the distribution rights to Lin-Manuel Miranda's film adaptation of his Broadway hit Hamilton. And from there, they have already announced that there is going to be a release date, which will be October 15th, 2021. So, pretty much a little earlier than what we would get with the Shaun the Sheep Christmas special, but still, this would count as well as something as late 2021. But, actually, here's something that is actually very interesting to go and read about. But it says here, just to give you a little bit of a backstory with what is going on with the distribution rights and how Disney ended up getting it. Rights to the stage film went for an eye-popping $75 million in a deal brokered by Endeavor Content on behalf of Miranda. Three individuals close to negotiations told Variety Endeavor shopped for the project around Hollywood, presenting it to studios including Warner Brothers before Disney nabbed it. Now, what's the big thing about this Hamilton movie is that this isn't going to be like your typical typical film adaptation of a Broadway show. This is going to be a lot more different than that, because usually what we would get nowadays, we would often get like the big budget all-star extravaganza. Think Les Miserables, or what we recently had with Cats, where it would feature A-list celebrities among the cast playing memorable characters, where they would have these large, elaborate sets. Most of them are computer generated anyways, and they would go and make like a full-on film adaptation to make everything grand, to make everything big, you know, to make it much larger, and to really expand much more than what they would usually do than in the show, where they're just, where they're just limited to what they have on stage. However, with this version in particular, they are not doing that. What they are doing instead is that they're not giving you the movie, they're giving you the full-on Hamilton experience. Imagine this. Imagine if you would be in the dream scenario where you would actually be in the Broadway theater. I'm trying to figure out the name. What was it again? Imagine if you're in the Richard Rodgers Theater and you would have front row seats to actually watch Hamilton with the original Broadway cast, then that is exactly what you are going to get with this Hamilton movie, where they are going to put the camera on the seat of the audience and they will show what they have displayed on stage. They're going to feature the entire original cast, including Lin-Manuel himself, and they're going to be filming the Richard Rodgers Theater. They're going to show you exactly what they have done on stage and present that to its audience. So basically, the full-on original Broadway experience will be released for this Hamilton movie. And I'm going to read you a little bit of one quote from here, which will be coming from Thomas Kail. And I believe if there is a mention about Thomas Kail and his involvement, I'm trying to double check. But anyways, going back into this, Thomas Kail added, "We are thrilled for fans of the show and new audiences across the world to experience what it was like on stage and in the audience, where we show this at the Richard Rodgers Theater on Broadway in June of 2016. We wanted to give everyone the same seat, which is what the film..." Oh, excuse me. Alright. "Which is what the film can provide." And also, we do have one quote here coming from Lin-Manuel himself, talking about the collaboration with Disney, as he says, "I fell in love with musical storytelling growing up with the legendary Howard Ashman, Alan Menken Disney collaborations, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. I'm so proud of what Tommy Kail has been able to capture in this film version of Hamilton, a live theatrical experience that feels just as immediate in your local movie theater. We're excited to partner with Disney to bring the original Broadway company of Hamilton to the largest audience possible." Oh, okay, so, and if I read this correctly, if I could go and find this to go even deeper, I do believe Thomas Kail maybe is the director here, I think. You could correct me just in case if I still can't find it. But, yeah, I think that could actually be the case, is that Thomas Kail is going to be the director, per se, of this movie. And for those of you who are not necessarily familiar with Hamilton, I'll just go and read a little bit of from my source here, which is Variety, by the way. Hamilton debuted on Broadway in 2015 and won numerous of accolades, including 11 Tonys and Pulitzer Prize for Drama. The original Broadway cast includes Miranda as Alexander Hamilton, David Diggs as Marquis de Lafayette, and Thomas Jefferson, Leslie Odom Jr. as Aaron Burr, Christopher Jackson as George Washington, Jonathan Groff as King George, Renee Elise Goldsberry as Angelica Schulier, and Philippa Sue as Eliza Hamilton. So that's the whole idea. So not only are we officially going to get a Hamilton movie from Disney, but we're pretty much going to have the full-on Hamilton experience. And honestly, already, even though we are just starting 2020, I think I already got my most anticipated film for 2021, and probably the most anticipated movie of 2021, because honestly, I feel like what they are doing here is absolutely genius. Like, honestly, this is better than I could possibly ever imagine with what they would want to do with a Hamilton film adaptation. Because let me just clarify this. I know for a fact that this is not necessarily the first time that a movie would do something like this. I know that this has happened plenty of times before, where there are movies that are basically filmed stage productions, where they would take the stage production and they would just film it, and then they would go and just distribute it. But usually, whenever those would happen, I know that there have been plenty that have been done. I have actually done a review of one of those types of movies with Cats, the 1998 direct-to-video film, and I know there are plenty of others as well, like Sweeney Todd, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Jesus Christ Superstar, and all that kind of stuff. But usually, those are not for theaters. Those ones, they would usually be either as television specials or direct-to-video. They're not necessarily made for the big screen. And if they are, then they would usually be just like limited time screenings. You know, they would be like the Fathom events, or they would just be on for like a few days and that's it. At most, they would usually, like sometimes they're just there on the big screen for one day and then that's it. Not necessarily made as a movie per se, like release in theaters and have its theatrical run and stuff like that. But here, however, Disney is pulling such a genius move, or this idea is such a genius move, to give the full-on Hamilton experience to the big screen, to basically give the Hamilton experience to everyone. Because I know for a fact that there are many people out there who would not be fortunate enough or lucky enough to actually go see Hamilton on Broadway, or to see to see any stage production of Hamilton, because Hamilton is one of the biggest sold out stage events in recent years. Like, it's the biggest Broadway show since the Phantom of the Opera or Cats. And even as I'm recording this right now, even after years of being on Broadway, it's still sold out. And it's still sold out for like months on end. If you want to register a ticket, if you want to get a ticket to go see Hamilton on Broadway, then not only is it going to be stupidly expensive, but it's going to take you like months. Like, we're only at the start of 2020. Then if you're going to reserve your tickets now, then you can probably only get towards the end of 2020. And that is if you are lucky. But in here, not only are they promising you like the state, not only are they promising you the experience of like what people would usually get on stage, but on top of that, they're also bringing back the original Broadway cast. And that is going to be something that will be that is going to be something that will be massively appealing, especially towards Hamilton fans, and even for non-Hamilton fans, that they would be curious to go and have the full experience. Because there is a major difference between having an all-star cast and having the original Broadway cast. And here's a great example of it. I actually did hear that pretty soon, Hamilton will be coming in a place near me, not necessarily in Montreal, but somewhere nearby. And I asked my family members who are Broadway fans if they would be interested in checking that out. And believe it or not, they said no. Not because they don't like Hamilton. They love Hamilton and they listen to the soundtrack again and again and again, but mainly because, well, it's going to be from a different cast. They are so spoiled from the soundtrack, hearing the original Broadway cast again and again, that they feel like another cast is not going to top what they are used to. But having the original cast, well, now they don't have an excuse. Now they can actually go and see the experience come to life in front of them. So honestly, I can imagine this is going to be something that for many Broadway fans, and not just movie fans, but especially Broadway fans, this is going to be something that is massively exciting. And even for me, even for someone who really wants to see Hamilton, I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to do so. This is going to be the definitive Hamilton experience for people to check out. Well, I mean, technically the definitive experience is to see it all live on Broadway with the original cast and stuff like that, but at the very least, this is going to be the experience that people will be checking out, like the easiest way for people to go and check out. And honestly, this is going to be something that I feel like it's such a genius idea that already at the point, I think Disney already has a big winner. Like, I know they already made a big investment putting $75 million on just the distribution, but I do feel like this is going to be something that Disney will put it out there and it's going to be a $1 billion hit. Like, this is going to be one of those films that in 2021, it's going to be one of the highest grossing movies of that year in particular. Now, there is one thing, though, that I would like to point out that a lot of people did address that it is their one big concern regarding Disney distributing Hamilton. And that is if Disney would do anything to go and censor any of the elements from the show. Because it is true that when it comes to Hamilton, there are a lot of adult themes and a lot of very suggestive things that actually do happen during the show. And considering that Disney is a family-friendly brand, you never know if Disney would do something in order to go and alter some things or maybe cut off a few scenes. Ooh, excuse me, some gas wanted to go out. But anyways, as I was saying, you never know if Disney would go and cut a few scenes in order to make it more appropriate for them to release it on the big screen. And I can understand a bit of the concerns, but I feel like if Disney is smart, they wouldn't touch anything. They wouldn't do anything of it. Release the show as it is. Because the big thing about it, as I said, this is not a film adaptation. This is taking the Broadway experience to the big screen. And if they play their cards right, then they should know to not touch everything. Keep it as it is. Give the full 100% experience no matter what. Leave it uncensored, leave it untouched, and that way you will succeed in your promise in giving out the full Hamilton experience to audiences. Like, worst case scenario, maybe they're not going to distribute it under the Disney brand. Maybe they'll go and put it out under their more mature label with 20th Century Studios. Maybe they will go and do that. That could be a possibility. But for now, honestly, I do feel like this is something that, yes, it is a little concerning, but if Disney is smart, then they should know to not touch a single thing on the show and just leave it as it is and fulfill their promise in delivering the Broadway experience onto the big screen. And that way, they will guarantee have a major success, maybe more so than Avatar 2, since that's going to be coming out just a few months after the Hamilton movie. So, from there, again, I would like to point out that the movie will be coming out in a long time, though. It's not going to be released until October 15th, 2021 in North America. But I can already say that as a Broadway fan myself, I am absolutely excited for this. I am absolutely hyped up. And already, this is one of my biggest movies of 2021, so I'm already excited for it. So with that said, let us now go into the chat wall. And let me ask you, what do you all think about this news of Hamilton coming to the big screen? Are you guys excited as I am for it? Do you have any little concerns about it? Let me know what you all think. And I need some water. Okay. Oh, let's see. As a fan of Hamilton, this movie is already on my 2021 anticipation list. Okay, yeah. Already, like, I'm sure fans are already freaking out about this as well, so it cannot be just me. Alright, let's see. This is a genius way to finally show Hamilton to the world without selling your kidneys to the black market, just to get cheap nosebleed seats. Okay, dark example, but that being said, and you know the sad thing is that I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually true. I wouldn't be surprised if there was someone who actually did that just to get those like nosebleed seat tickets for Hamilton. I know a film version was made before Miranda left the Broadway production. I wonder if they are showing that version or something else. I even remember rumors of a bidding war to show that filmed version. I am pumped up mostly for the fact that I don't have to wait much longer. Glad that Disney isn't throwing, or okay, well the comment, I guess it kind of stopped there, but oh yeah. No, I definitely do get how you feel. And it is true that beforehand, there were rumors passing around that there would actually be a Hamilton film adaptation. Like, this is not the first time that we've heard about this concept of a Hamilton movie. And, you know, it did happen before. But honestly, considering the release date is actually pretty far, I wouldn't be surprised if they want to redo it, you know? Like, considering that we are at the start of 2020, so, like, now they got, like, almost 2 years to go and work on this, I'm sure they do have a plan to go and schedule something so that they could actually do a proper film version for it. Because now that things are officially a go with this movie, then I think like now it is time that they're going to start from scratch and they'll bring back the original Broadway cast and they'll take some time, you know, to close off the Richard Rogers Theater in order to do the filming and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that, like I don't think it's going to be what's already done. I think they're going to redo something from scratch. Okay, let's see now. I'm very happy that they are doing this, and it seems like it could be the Hamilton movie fans want and so much more. And, oh, I before I read more into that, I just want to say right now, I think this is something that, this is not what Hamilton fans want. This is more than what Hamilton fans want. This is something that far exceeded their expectations, because they're expecting a legit movie. They're expecting maybe something like Les Miserables, but no. This is going to be taking the stage, put it on the big screen. Probably more than anyone could ever dream of. Let's see now. And this could potentially end up being one of the movies based on one of the best movies based on a Broadway show is probably what you meant. So I think this is going to be a massive hit. And who knows, it could have a chance to beat Avengers Endgame as the highest grossing movie of all time. Whew. Now, I did state that, yes, it's going to surpass $1 billion at the box office, but surpassing Avengers Endgame? I don't know, honestly. That would be insane, but I don't know, honestly. I'm not going to say that's impossible. Like, I'll clear that out right there. It is not impossible to do so, and maybe there is a chance, but still, I mean, we are at the point where Avengers Endgame still made nearly $2.8 billion. I know that Hamilton is a phenomenon, but is it that much of a phenomenon that it could still carry itself not just throughout the fall, but also during the holiday season as well? That is going to be something that I feel like we're just going to have to wait and see on that. I don't know. You could be right. I'll give you that, but we'll see, one step at a time. First, let's have the movie be made. Then we'll see how it will perform at the box office. Let's see now. I could see this as a great opportunity for not only people who haven't been able to catch the stage version out, but those who get too anxious in large crowds to watch it on stage, especially for people with agoraphobia or on the autism spectrum. That could be the case. You know, you do bring up a good point. Let's see now. I've never really had too much of an attachment to Hamilton, but this sounds absolutely fantastic. Even as someone who's not acquainted with the show, I'm pretty sure this could be in the veins of Les Miserables and the 2007 Hairspray movie. But no matter how it turns out, it could be worse. It could be the 2014 Annie adaptation because, come on, if a movie's moral is being rich is really cool, you know you're doing something wrong. Oh my god, yeah, that is true. Or then again, like, honestly, points to you for not mentioning cats as a bad example, because that would be the easy way out. But oh my god, I completely forgot about that Annie adaptation. Yeah, that's another one of those that's just a full-on yikes right there. Oh boy, trying to freaking modernize Annie and stuff like that. Yeah, because that's one thing Annie needed, a freaking beat. All right, tomorrow. Yeah, right. All right, anyways, I'll read one more comment before we're gonna jump onto our next story. So let's see here. I'm happy that Disney is doing this so more people can watch the original show, but as a Hispanic aspiring filmmaker, I personally wish if they went all the way and produced an epic old Hollywood-style lavish musical shot on 70mm in the veins of Sound of Music and West Side Story, with large seats and sweeping landscapes. I love the original show and I'm gonna watch it, but it's just personal wishes. Whoo boy, oh boy, trying to make a 60s style 70mm musical. Not impossible, but whoo boy. Like, you need like a passionate filmmaker to do so. Like, the only person that I could imagine who would really be willing to actually go and do that would be Quentin Tarantino. Like, he would be the, like, either Quentin Tarantino or Christopher Nolan. Like, those two people would be so passionate to go and bring back the old 70mm and try to make something that would be a good old tribute to classic Hollywood. Like, those are the two biggest candidates that I can imagine would be willing to do some kind of crazy musical like that, but I don't know. That still sounds like a crazy dream, though. Not a bad dream, but still a crazy dream nonetheless. And now it is time that we are going to jump onto the grand finale of this story. Yes, we are going to be ending this off with a very unique story here. Now, with this one, I'm just going to say it is another bonus miscellaneous, and we are going to be going outside of the theme of animation and movies. But one thing that I will say, you don't have to be a marketing expert, or you don't have to work in business and marketing to understand that this has to be one of the most disastrous marketing campaigns in recent years. And what I am talking about is gonna be the Baby Nut. Yes, some of you might be a bit acquainted already to this Baby Nut, and this one does come with a pretty fascinating story. So let me go and tell you the whole thing. Let me go and start things off at the beginning, because the story with this Baby Nut, it actually started a few weeks ago when Planters made a whole campaign about the death of their mascot, Mr. Peanut, whom I believe is about 104 years old. They made this short little video where Mr. Peanut was driving with two of his buddies who are two celebrities. I forgot their names. I think one of them is Wesley Snipes. But apparently, they drove off the road and they were, they were about to fall and all of them would die. Like, they were holding onto a branch. The branch was breaking and one of them has to let go in order for the other two to live. And Mr. Peanut decided to go and sacrifice himself. And from there, Planters just made an entire huge social media campaign where all the other corporate, corporate social media accounts would come in and pay their respects to the death of Mr. Peanut. And that was at one point all one major thing. However, there was one problem with that, and that is timing. Because holy crap, timing played a major factor in how bad this marketing campaign is. Because the whole thing about the death of Mr. Peanut is that this was all major hype for their Super Bowl commercial. Like, this was all set up to what's going to happen in the commercial. And from there, that's when they would go and prepare things up, and like they would all say that, oh, make sure to be ready to watch the Super Bowl commercial where we are going to see Mr. Peanut's funeral. And from there, the timing was pretty bad because it was already bad enough that the video was released at the same time as the death of Monty Python member Terry Jones. But then there was another major news that occurred where death became a pretty bad and serious topic with the passing and unfortunate death of Kobe Bryant. Now, planters from there, they did state that in respects to Kobe Bryant, they would go and try to delay the funeral thing because now death is not necessarily a joke and not necessarily a thing that you would want to use as a campaign to sell your peanuts. But eventually, they decided to say, screw it, and we're just going to go and release the commercial anyways. So from there, they decided, yes, on the Super Bowl, they did release the commercial, and we did see the funeral, where we see random celebrities that are crying and sad of the passing of Mr. Peanut. And we do see some crossovers as well, where it was also featured that we saw Mr. Clean, and we saw the Kool-Aid Man who was crying. And apparently, I don't know what the Kool-Aid Man had, but I guess you could say the Kool-Aid Man is a Pokemon, because his tears managed to bring Mr. Peanut back to life. Well, not entirely. His tear dropped in the gravesite of Mr. Peanut, and suddenly some plants sprouted out, and then we have the baby nut, which is essentially Mr. Peanut is back to life. You know, everything's back to normal, except now Mr. Peanut is a baby, trying to make a big-eyed, cute little baby. And immediately after the commercial, planters just said, all right, here's the baby. Now buy our merch. I kid you not. Planters immediately announced that you can actually go and buy t-shirts and even plushies of Baby Nut. And from there, they did try to make it more of a viral sensation, as much as they did when they have announced the passing of Mr. Peanut. So they try to make Baby Nut popular, they try to make it trending, they try to be cool and hip with the young kids. But apparently, the way that they tried to do so was a bit of a disaster, where apparently they've crossed the line with Twitter, and they had to go and intervene. Which I'm going to go and read a little bit from my source here on The Verge, where it actually explains, where is it? Yes, it says here, Insider first reported that the official Mr. Peanut account was retweeting accounts created before the public could have any knowledge Baby Nut would soon come for us all. Twitter's rules do not allow accounts to artificially amplify or suppress information or engage in behavior that manipulates or disrupts people's experience on Twitter, especially as it concerns commercially motivated spam and multiple accounts. So basically, what they're trying to say is that planters tried to go and spam their way into making Baby Nut a popular thing, even to the point of creating fake accounts in order to actually make it trending, to make it popular, in order to manipulate with the algorithm so that Baby Nut can end up getting a prominent place in popularity, in order to get a prominent place in trending. So that's the big thing, but apparently that seems to be breaking the rules on Twitter. So from there, they cut it out, and immediately the Baby Nut meme was just dead. And as I've said before, all this just feels like a total marketing disaster. Like, it was pretty bad the way that they tried to make Baby Nut a major thing, because I will say, all this just feels nothing but corporately artificial. You guys want to talk about younger versions of characters? Now it is the time to do so. It just feels so obvious with the way that what Planters wants to do is that, or what they wanted to do, is not just make a prominent Super Bowl commercial, they wanted to make something that would last longer. They wanted to make something that would really get people talking on social media. And they almost achieved it well. They had a great build-up. Like, they got a lot of people's attention with the passing of Mr. Peanut, which is probably the most attention that Mr. Peanut had in literally decades. But then suddenly, when it was revealed that, oh, they just want to make a baby nut, that's when people immediately got turned off and got immediately called out. And from there, the problem with Baby Nut, the reason why it failed to appeal with audiences, it's mainly because we know that the reason why they wanted to make Baby Nut is mainly because the baby trend is it's so popular right now. Like, I know I gave Gru a pass because, like, the young Gru was already done long before this trend was popular, but look at nowadays. Pop culture right now is in a position where it is filled with babies. Like, of course, we got Baby Shark, which I could debatably say that's the one that probably started this whole baby trend all over again. You got Muppet Babies, which is back on the mainstream, which is back on television. What else do we got? Oh, and of course, who could not forget to mention, we got frickin' Baby Yoda, which is probably the one that really pushed it to become massively popular. So, well, Baby Yoda, or the child from The Mandalorian. And not only that, but there have been some people who even mentioned what else was there? There was Baby Groot. And holy crap, I'm looking at the chat wall, and oh my god, you guys, wow, you're even bringing up a lot of great examples. Like, there's so much more. There was Baby Sonic in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. There was Baby Moana in Moana as well, considering that not only did she appear in Moana, of course, but also that she also made an appearance in Ralph Breaks the Internet. What else is there? Let's see, Baby Moana, Baby Sonic. And yeah, there's also Scoob. Technically, there is a Scooby-Doo where we saw the younger version of Scooby in the trailer. And also we saw the younger version of SpongeBob in the Sponge Out of Water trailer as well. So we see, like, younger versions of characters are just all over the place. It's the 80s and early 90s all over again. We're stuck in a time loop right now. And the thing is, but with many of those things, like, a lot of them, they can get a pass because they are a part of the story that they want to tell. Like, yeah, we do see Baby Scoob and Baby SpongeBob and stuff like that, but that's mainly used in order to tell their backstory. There is a reasoning for that. And then we got the child, where technically it's not really Baby Yoda, but, I mean, it is a part of the story in order to tell what they want to go and tell. Like, there's a lot of different examples. And another one, like Sonic, for example, that's also another one where it's like, it's meant to go and tell its backstory, which, by the way, considering that I have seen the movie, this is just minor spoilers, and this is already something that we have seen just in the opening, and that's it. But by the way, here's something a bit unexpected that I just need to say. Sonic's mother makes an appearance in the Sonic movie. And believe it or not, she's a giant owl. Yeah, just keep in mind that. Yes, Sonic's mother is actually a giant owl. So I thought it would be interesting to go and mention that. But anyways, going back into this, and they barely even mention that as well. Like, everything just happens so fast. But yeah, that's basically the thing that happened in the Sonic movie. But going back into this, going with the Baby Nut, you could tell that the only reason why Baby Nut exists is mainly because they want to go and hop on the trend of the baby characters that we have in pop culture. That they're hoping Baby Nut could also be another one that can be popular with all the others. It's like, oh, if you make I just realized another thing that really does capitalize a lot on this baby trend. A whole movie about a baby. The Boss Baby. That is another one that we need to throw in on this frickin' baby pile. But with this one, okay, anyways, going back onto Baby Nut here, like, you could tell it is so, like, they just wanted to do it because, oh, babies are popular, babies are trending, so why not go and make Baby Nut? So, like, let's just make a baby version of our mascot, and hopefully that will sell more. And from there, like, it really does pull up the curtains to show how everything about this feels fake. And here's actually a pretty interesting fact in here. It also did mention about the idea of, like, the start of this, like, the whole death of Mr. Peanut. And and it actually states here, I just want to read a little bit. Where does it say? Okay, yeah. It even says, excuse me. In an interview with CNBC, Planter's ad agency, Vanier Media, said that it was inspired by the online reactions to the death of another fictional character, Iron Man. So basically, even the whole start of this, even the whole death of Mr. Peanut, was just made because someone else did it, it got reactions, so let's do it as well. Like, apparently they saw how people reacted to the passing of Iron Man when he sacrificed himself at the end of Avengers Endgame, and they decided they want to try to do that as well with their mascot. And it shows how, honestly, overall, this really feels nothing but corporately artificial. That they're just doing these things, not because of, like, a clever marketing campaign, not just because, like, they got a clever idea, but they're just jumping on trends. They're copying others in order to go and, try to capitalize. They're capitalizing on other people's ideas. That's the best way to put it. They're just doing it because other people are doing it, and they receive popular results, so they want to have their piece of the pie as well. And that's why everything about this is a disaster. Where, yeah, the build-up, it got a lot of people's attention, but the payoff of it, the result, it really is something that really put a lot of people off. And the way that they handled it as well is also a disaster, considering that Twitter has to intervene and cut them out of it. That apparently, in order to make Baby Nut popular, they ended up crossing the line on Twitter. So overall with this, I can't help but feel like this whole thing with Baby Nut, the death of Mr. Peanut and stuff like that, it's just a disaster. Like, all this was just trying to go and copy what other people have done, try to do things that are trendy, that are popular, to make people talk about them on social media. And what ended up happening, and the result that we got is just, it's just not necessarily something that would capitalize on the trend, but debatably something that could be the start of the end of the trend. If anything, if in the future, I'll say right now, if this whole baby trend is starting to die down and it becomes unpopular, then I'm gonna say I would blame Baby Nut on it, because that's the one where it really crossed the line. That's when people are starting to realize that now corporations are trying to capitalize on the fudge nabbit. Woo! Okay. I usually have burps, but I don't know if I had a sneeze before. Anyways, going back onto this, like, you could tell, like, honestly, I do feel like Baby Nut is the one that's going to kill off this trend, because now people are realizing that corporations are trying to capitalize on a trend, that they're just doing things because it's popular right now, and it's at the point where it's getting ridiculous. So I would probably blame Baby Nut on that. And if there is one more comment that I would like to make on this, honestly, with the whole thing that happened, with the passing of Mr. Peanut, the funeral, and Baby Nut, I would like to ask one important question. How does this sell peanuts exactly? Like, how does all this make me want to go and buy Planters peanuts? Like, what makes me, why would I look at this baby peanut and say, like, yeah, this makes me hungry for peanuts. I'm gonna go and grab myself a bag of peanuts. How? I just want to, with the whole thing of making people talk about Planters and stuff like that, maybe that's not necessarily the goal, but overall, the whole point of this is to try to sell peanut snacks. And I'm just wondering, how the fridge are they doing this? Like, what is this baby trend? What does this baby trend have to do with selling peanuts? If you can find an answer, maybe you'll know. But for me, for now, I just really don't know. Okay, so with that said, I would like to go and pass on the mic to you guys in the chat wall, and I would like to ask you, what do you all think about the whole baby nut meme and the whole marketing campaign of the death of Mr. Peanut and the rebirth as Baby Nut? Let me know what you all think of this. Oh boy, well, it did clear my sinuses, I will say that. Alright, anyways, after the video of Mr. Peanut's death, I initially predicted that he was going to be revived, a bit similar to when Family Guy axed off Brian, but the end result was not at all worth it. Even its name sounds a little weird and kind of inappropriate. Overall, this is an example of marketing schemes gone horribly wrong. Aside from the Pizza Toots song that's meant to promote the fourth Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. Oh god, the Pizza Toot thing. I don't even want to get into that. Oh god, that's another disaster. That's another story of another disaster right there. But yeah, you do bring up a very good point. The problem with it is that the payoff of all this was just not worth it. It was not worth getting all of our attention about the passing of Mr. Peanut to suddenly have it be resulted to just this baby nut. And yeah, you do bring, and another point that you do bring up, and sorry if I get back into my little perverted mind a bit, but also the name Baby Nut, it's just really bad, especially when nut is more often used on the internet as a verb, as more as a, how can I put this in a classy way? Screw it. I'll just be more upfront about it. Basically, nut is a synonym for ejaculation. It's a more simpler term to say that, oh my god, that thing made me nut and stuff like that. And like even some people have, like, even during the death of Mr. Peanut, like there have been a lot of people who have made jokes about, I'm gonna nut one for Mr. Peanut. Like, a lot of people would go and say that. Like, I think even Pornhub made a joke about nutting one for Mr. Peanut. So, saying baby nut, it's not really a good idea, and it can go horribly wrong. Alright. Anyways, let's see here. First, there was Baby Groot, then Baby Yoda, then Baby Sonic, and now there's Baby Nut. I mean, what's next? Baby Optimus Prime, Baby Pinkie Pie, Baby Nostalgia Critic. Actually, that one will look like Schwarzenegger Baby from Junior. You probably know what I mean by the Schwarzenegger Baby. Oh my god, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Doug Walker would actually go and do that at one point. Like, okay, like, knowing the Nostalgia Critic, he'll just try to make some, like, satire of it. Like, he's not gonna unironically do it, but oh god, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that will eventually be a Nostalgia Critic joke where there's gonna be a baby Nostalgia Critic. Baby Pinkie Pie, oh yeah, I'm sure, like, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually My Little Pony will jump on that trend. You'll see, that could actually happen. I mean, I'm sure it already happened with the toys, so maybe that actually, maybe that did happen. I don't really care about this since I have a peanut allergy. I love that mentality. It's like, yeah, I'm allergic, so honestly, screw this. Yeah, screw that baby nut. Oh, wow. There are a lot of benefits. There are a lot of benefits to having these kinds of allergies, like not giving a crap about the subject matter and whenever they would be trending. All right, let's see now. Let's see what other comments we would get. Let's see. No, not this one. Oh, it feels like a combination between when Family Guy killed off Brian only to bring him back 2 episodes later, and when Groot died only to be reborn as Baby Groot. Actually, the more I think about it, the more that it really is kind of similar to Groot and with Baby Groot and stuff like that. It really does feel like it's a similar thing, considering that, oh, the original passed away, and then suddenly it's rebirthed into another version. Now, I know that technically that's not legitimately Groot. Like, there is a big difference between the Groot that we got in the original Guardians of the Galaxy and the Groot that we have right now. Even James Gunn did confirm that this is a totally different person, technically. But, yeah, it is a very similar idea. And even with the rebirth kind of thing, where, like, oh, there's this tear, and then suddenly, like, you see these plants sprouting out, and suddenly, oh, here's the baby version. Yeah, it really is similar to that. Let's see, what else do we got here? I think you guys are taking this too far. It's just a dumb commercial for a Super Bowl. And also with the meme accounts, it was just satire. And also, it wasn't supposed to want people to get peanuts. It was just a dumb commercial so people can talk about it online. Are you sure it's just a dumb commercial? Honestly, I have to disagree with you. It's not a dumb commercial when immediately afterwards they would try to go and sell merchandise for Baby Nut. Like, they made t-shirts, they made plushies, they made all that kind of stuff. Like, there is a lot more. Like, they wouldn't just make a dumb commercial for the sake of making a dumb commercial. Like, this is something, like, there was a lot that actually went into it. You can't just pass it off as just a dumb commercial per se. You know, like, it's not like they just made it just because. Trust me on that. Let's see. I'll just read a few more. Quick thought I had. Maybe Baby Nut was created to entice kids into eating nuts, since they're the ones most likely to go after this baby trend. That is a good point. And that's why I want to, and I think right there, you have pretty much just debunked the other comment that says, it's not a dumb, like, that this is just a dumb commercial. And that could be the thing. It could, like, this could be geared more towards kids that are into right now this whole baby trend of, like, Baby Yoda and Baby Groot and stuff like that. That is a good point. And honestly, you kind of debunked what I just asked about how is this going to sell peanuts. Well, it's to go and try to make it a meme. Because kids are into memes, kids are into the baby stuff like Baby Yoda and stuff like that. So maybe that could be a way to entice kids into eating their nuts. Which sounds absolutely terrible now that I think about it, but you guys get what I mean. You do bring up, honestly, you bring up a very good fact. Smart comment there, smart comment. Okay, I'm going to go and read one more comment before we're going to go and cap this off. So let me see here. If they weren't messing around on Twitter, it probably would have just been a victim of bad timing due to the unexpected death of Terry Jones and Kobe Bryant. But learning about what the true intent of this is made me disgusted. I get that capitalizing on a trend is a business move for how popular this Baby Yoda trend or Muppet Babies is, this trend or Muppet Baby effect has become in 2020, but how they handled it is gonna kill it off really soon. Oh, absolutely, man. This has done more harm to the baby trend than good. And with that said, that should conclude today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Now, before we say our goodbyes and stuff like that, I would like to make one more little announcement. And I would like to say, tune in on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, where I'm going to do a very special episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, where I'm going to be talking all about the Oscars, where I will go and discuss the show itself, the winners, and of course, who takes the gold for Best Animated Feature. So again, keep your eyes out and mark your calendars on February 10th, at 4 p.m. Eastern, live on my Twitch channel to go and check that out. But with all that said, I would like to say thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, see you later, dudes!